Hello everyone, in today's video I will be reviewing Batman Forever. After the mixed results of Batman Returns, Warner Bros. Wanted to go in a different direction, make a lighter tone Batman film. Tim Burton stepped down as director and the directing job was given to Joel Schumacher. Despite Tim Burton stepping away as the director, he did produce this movie, but he probably didn't really have much to do on this film. Michael Keaton also stepped down as Batman despite being offered a lot of money. He left because he did not like the direction of the story to this movie. Instead, he was replaced by Val Kilmer. Batman Forever was directed by Joel Schumacher, who directed movies like St. Elmo's Fire, The Lost Boys, Falling Down, A Time to Kill, "8mm", and Phone Booth. We will talk about the next big one that he's very well known for in the next video. And also, rest in peace since he passed away in recent years. The film was produced by Peter McGregor, Scott, and Tim Burton, as I mentioned before. The story is by Lee and Janet Scott Batchelor. The screenplay was done by Akiva Goldsman. The movie stars Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, Nicole Kidman, Chris O'Donnell, Michael Gough, and Pat Hingle. The movie was released on June 16, 1995. It made $336.6 million at the box office at the time of its release. Batman Forever is about Batman facing off against the Riddler and Two-Face. Harvey Dent was a former district attorney who was scarred from his accident. Edward Nygma was a former Wayne Enterprise employee who wants revenge on Bruce Wayne for rejecting his idea on brainwave manipulation, reading people's minds, and he becomes the Riddler. Meanwhile, Batman is dealing with pain and torture about the death of his parents from his past. He seeks help from psychologist Dr. Chase Meridian and he ends up falling in love with her. Dick Grayson's parents are murdered by Two-Face. Bruce adopts Dick Grayson and becomes Robin in the end. Now, this is a movie that also has a mixed response from people. People either like or dislike this movie. In my own personal opinion, this movie is just okay. I'm not saying it's a great movie. It has its flaws and some decent okay moments. As a kid, I love this movie, but as an adult watching it today, I have mixed feelings about the movie that I did not realize as a kid. It is more forgiving than Batman and Robin for sure. Unlike the first two films that were so dark, they definitely went a different direction from this movie after Batman Returns. This series went from Tim Burton gothic atmosphere to making it light-hearted and campy a little bit. I don't know why, Gotham City looks like Las Vegas or Laser Tag does not look like Tim Burton's style of gothic atmosphere like the Gotham City. It's a bummer that Tim Burton is not the director of this movie, even though I said before he was the producer, but he probably really didn't do much work on this film because he was doing other movies at this point. Joel Schumacher really got a bad rep from these Batman movies. I mean, he really was not a bad director. I mean, he was hit or miss at times, but that's any filmmaker. He did direct a lot of good movies. I mean, he wasn't the greatest filmmaker, but he was a decent, solid filmmaker, Joel Schumacher. If you watch the horror vampire movie The Lost Boys, that movie shows he could have made a darker Batman film. When you really think about it, the studio is to blame for the failure of his Batman movies. He even said in interviews he wanted to direct a dark Batman movie, and he was also interested in directing a Batman Year One out of the graphic novel by Frank Miller, but the studio said no, make a sequel to Batman and make Batman lighter. Val Kilmer's performance in this movie as Batman is just okay in this movie. He's not the best actor to play Batman, he's no Michael Keaton. He does an okay, decent job in this movie. He's the only one good highlight in this movie, and as Batman, he's the only one that takes himself seriously in this movie. Even though the first opening line is Alfred, when Alfred asks Batman to take a sandwich with him, And Batman replies, "I'll get drive-through." His scenes as Bruce Wayne are very good, how he lives in grief, guilt, and dwells on the past. He can't let go of the past, and forgets why he became Batman in the first place. During the making of this movie, Joel Schumacher and Val Kilmer did not get along, but back in the 90s, Val Kilmer was considered one of the most difficult actors to work with. This recent past year, there was a documentary about Val Kilmer's life. I highly recommend you go check out that documentary. I watched it back in September and I loved it. It's very sad how cancer ruined Val Kilmer's life, and Val Kilmer's an underrated talent actor who deserves a lot more credit and respect. Tommy Lee Jones is a great actor, and as a kid, I liked him as Two-Face, but again, watch his performance today as an adult. Good God, he's really bad and awful. It's an insult to the Two-Face character. He is a good actor, not a bad choice. If he had better writing direction, he could have been a better Two-Face. The animated series did better justice on the Two-Face character. Just like Val Kilmer and Joel Schumacher, he did not get along with him during the making of this movie. Also, I don't understand why they did not bring back Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent from the first movie. I guess because of Tim Burton stepping down as director in the new direction, I guess that's why they recasted the part of Harvey Dent Two-Face. As a kid watching this, it never occurred to me how to notice the difference between actor replacements like I do now these days. Jim Carrey's The Riddler was way over the top in this movie. I love Jim Carrey. He's one of my favorite comedic actors. In this movie, Jim Carrey was basically playing the Riddler like Frank Gorshin from the 60s TV series. Also, around this time period, Jim Carrey was huge and big in the mid-90s. The year prior was his big breakout as an actor for movies like Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura. Prior to this, he was on the TV show Living Color, known for his stand-up comedy. His performance as the Riddler's too cheesy and funny one-liners are annoying. Again, just like Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, Jim Carrey can be a serious method actor if he had to, despite being well-known in comedy. Before Tim Burton left the movie, they originally wanted either Robin Williams to play the Riddler. That could have been cool and interesting, but we'll never know how that could have turned out. Also, speaking of Tommy Lee Jones, apparently Jim Carrey has said in interviews that Tommy Lee Jones did not like working with Jim Carrey on this movie. Also, unlike for Val Kilmer and Tommy Lee Jones having a hard time with Joel Schumacher, Joel Schumacher said that Jim Carrey was one of the only few actors he got along with on the set of this movie, saying that Jim Carrey was a gentleman compared to the other two. Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Moran in this movie was just okay. She's basically in love with Batman. She wants to help Bruce overcome his fears of the past to let go. Bruce loved her but was afraid of Batman getting in the way. One thing that doesn't make any sense in this movie is after Bruce is recovering from injuries, he looks at video footage of Chase Meridian and says, "I've never been in love before." Wait, what about Vicky Vale and Selena Kyle from the first two movies? Did you already forget about them already? I guess Batman really is a man whore. I don't know what to say to that. Also, they originally wanted Rene Russo as Dr. Chase Meridian before Nicole Kidman, when originally Tim Burton was supposed to direct this film. Robin is played by Chris O'Donnell in this movie. In the comic books, Bruce Wayne adopts Dick Grayson. In this movie, Robin's in his mid-20s, and he looks way too old to be adopted. His motivation is to kill Two-Face because he murdered his parents. Robin wants revenge, a similar arc how in the first movie how it was the Joker who was responsible for Batman's parents' death. But in the comic books, Tony Zuko is the one responsible for Robin's parents' death. I'll admit, the animated series did this better. But then again, the animated series did a lot of things better than this movie. The part where Dick Grayson finds the truth about Bruce's Batman, he takes the Batman and goes out pretending he's Batman with no suit, and no one takes him seriously. The goons he fights and saves the girl, the goons look like they're playing laser. The part where Dick finds out the truth about Bruce's Batman, he takes the Batman and goes out pretending he's Batman with no suit, and no one takes him seriously. Then he fights goons and saves a girl's life. I don't know why, the goons look like laser tag players or Halloween trick-or-treaters. It doesn't make any sense how Bruce tells Dick how revenge is not the answer, coming from someone who killed in the first two movies. I guess Bruce wants Dick to learn from his mistakes and worries about Dick following the same footsteps as Bruce, I guess. But just when you think Robin's about to kill Two-Face, he's gonna do the right thing by putting Two-Face in jail. Two-Face kidnaps him. The Riddler gives Batman an ultimatum between Chase and Robin. Batman figures out how to save both, but unfortunately in the end, Batman ends up killing Two-Face. So much for trying to teach Dick Grayson a lesson. Also, I want to mention Chris O'Donnell pays tribute to Burt Ward from the 60s TV show run with a quote, "Holy rusted metals, Batman." One other complaint I want to point about this movie is the continuity. It's not really confirmed this is a sequel or a reboot, despite the only two actors that come back from the first two movies are Michael Gough as Alfred and Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. The movie's definitely not the same style as Tim Burton's movies. The biggest joke and lie about this movie is the marketing to this movie. They said this movie was marketed as a family, kid-friendly film, and yet you have Debbie Mazur and Drew Barrymore wearing sexy outfits, and Nicole Kidman in a scene where she's trying to seduce Batman and lays in bed half naked to have sex with Batman. That, my friends, is a big lie. Unlike McDonald's canceling their toys for Batman Returns being considered too dark, McDonald's sold Batman cups for this movie to promote the film. I have those again somewhere around here, but they're buried in a box somewhere in my house. I'll show you a photo instead. So that was my review of Batman Forever. Hope you liked the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get the latest updates on my YouTube channel. And I'll see you next time for the big one, Batman and Robin. Oh boy, I don't know how I'm going to get through this one.